You have now your first sound, and after that we have seen that you can repeat it or vary it or do something different. And this is your second step in writing your your piece. Let's do like this. What can the third step be? Well, not surprisingly, the choices you have are exactly the same. So for the third step, you can repeat your last fragment, your last idea, your last sound, your last gesture, call it whatever you want. In this case, it's this one, in this case, this one. Or you can have something completely different. Let's do this wave here. Yeah. Or you can vary it. So in this case, we can vary like this. Let's do a triangle here to vary. And let's fill this square to suggest a variation in this case. Okay. If you want to continue, well, things don't change. The possibilities are always the same. I'm just writing down one extra possibility there. I'm not filling up everything because you get the picture. Let me just write this one and then this one. Sorry, let's fill this triangle. And then let's change something here. Yeah, another one. Because these are special cases we'll see in a minute. So what can we say about this picture, first of all? It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and exponentially bigger. It's an enormous tree, which is just growing up in all directions like a tree exactly. And I'm pretty sure that if you take a musical piece of your choice, you can find it in this path. You can follow one of these paths to find it out. And is this useful? Well, yes and no. It can be useful for what we have called recreations here. You reconstruct the structure of a piece, and then you try to change the sounds of the structures. But if you want to write your own music, well, that's not so useful to just think that you have all possibilities in the world. So yeah, you have all possibilities. So what? Which one can you choose? And which one is better than the others? You need a criterion to do this. For example, one of these criteria could be randomness. You just pick a die, sorry, and you throw it. And if it comes out 1 or 2, you take this direction. If it's 3 or 4, you variate. And if it's 5 or 6, you change. And so on. You take your die another time and you throw it, and then you choose depending of what the outcome is, and so on and so on and so on. Well, of course, there is no guarantee that this will give you a good piece of music. There are no guarantee at all. No guarantees that any criteria could give you a good piece of music, but this one is worse than others, I would say. Yeah. There is a better one, which I'll talk about it in a minute. But for the moment, let's just notice something peculiar about this infinite tree, which is the fact that the only original paths are this one, and then this one, and this one. And of course, here you continue to the infinity and beyond, and there as well. Okay. Why do I say so? Because if you watch closely, you can see that every other path is made of fragments of these three colored paths I showed you. Let's make an example with another pen here, and with, yeah, let's start from there. And let's say, if it could write, it would be even better. Yeah, let's start from there. Oh yeah, it writes. And let's say that I take this direction, so the variation. But then instead of variate once more, I want to repeat my element. And so I take this other path. If I repeat, it's orange. Then I repeat again, so it's orange again. And then let's say I change, so it becomes blue. And you get the picture. So if I want to resume this, I can say that all my story here is this, and then this twice, and then this once, and so on. And of course there are infinite paths here, and the order will be different, and the length of each segment will be different as well. But they are all made of these three principal colors, principal directions. So repetition, variation, and difference. And it's exactly what you'll find in our scheme here, in our resume. You will find the repetition many times, the variation and difference. And it's worth to study these special cases, because all the rest is made of fragments, of segments of these extreme cases. Well, you can tell me, okay, but can't you see there is a fourth one there? What you call a distant repetition, and you haven't talked about this yet. And what is it? Why does it come there? And I'll talk about it immediately, but talk about it, I need to come back a bit and to tell you about this criterion that we talked about. So what can be our guide to choose a path here, if it's not randomness? Randomness is no good, we saw it. So let's imagine we have a sort of a balance here. And on one side, one brace, let's put a C for coherence. And on the other side, let's put an I for interest. So, what does it mean to do something coherent? It means to repeat something, I would say. Coherence is the absence of surprises, is the fact that if you do something one day, you will do the same thing next day, and so on. Being coherent is a guarantee of logic in your piece. We can follow what happens very easily. We can memorize the first segment, and then we can imagine that it will continue, and actually it does. The problem of coherence, you can see it, you can imagine it very well, is that is boring. It is terribly boring. After, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 repetitions, you say, okay, I got it. So what's next? And if there isn't anything next, well, it's not good news, okay? Because you aren't going to remain focused on what you hear anymore. That's why we have interest on the other side. Interest is something that is on the opposite side of this coherence, is the fact that you change your element. You change once, and then you change again, and then you change again, and again. The problem with interest is that if you don't repeat anything, if you never repeat anything, well, this becomes boring as well, because your perception doesn't have anything to hang to. You cannot recall anything, and you cannot make forecasts, I would say, for the future. So interest alone is not good. Is not good too. And a good balance between the two is the secret of every good piece. You have to be coherent enough, but interesting enough also to keep our interest, but to make us follow what you do. There is no secret recipe for this. You can imagine it. We would know it. But this can be, let's say, a driving star, a leading star for us, for our for our path in this infinite tree. So let's come back to our resume here, and now we can understand why distant repetition has been introduced here. Distant repetition is just like variation, is a good compromise between repetition and difference, and it is so common in music that it deserves a category on its own. And just think for classical music to the rondo form, or for pop rock music, think to songs, to every song, which is made by almost every, let's say, which is made by a refrain and sorry, a chorus and a verse. I was thinking in French. A chorus and a verse. So the chorus is the repeated part, and the verse is the changing part there. Okay, so just to finish this long video, I encourage you to explore this column, many possibilities, and to find out all the musical example in all these categories, and you'll find that distant repetition is a very rich category indeed. So have fun.